Station, everybody, and get your phasers ready because tonight we're talking about 1984's The Last Starfighter, directed by Nick Castle. Scarpad with you. How you guys all doing? Welcome to Scarpad's Sci-Fi Sojourns. Glad you were able to come in tonight and join us for talking about this kind of like good, interesting sci-fi movie from 1984. The Last Starfighter was one of the movies that came out in the early 80s that kind of referenced the then booming video game market before it crashed. And I would say right around that time, 1985, but 1986 was kind of crashing with Atari going up in the air. So The Last Starfighter, like Tron from earlier, dealt with computer-generated effects. In this case, the movie had the effects generated by a Cray supercomputer, which was the biggest, strongest type of computer they had back in the day. It wasn't an Amiga. It was a Cray supercomputer. So the effects kind of interesting in this film. And for this movie, they employed Nick Castle, who was a big cohort of John Carpenter. He was involved in Escape from New York. And then, of course, he did the sequel to that. And he did a lot of Carpenter-related stuff. And he's been a pretty prolific director since then. And starring in the movie was the cast. Let's pull up my list here because I want to screw up. Lance Guest, who was, I believe, in a Superman movie earlier, and he was in a Halloween movie. Robert Preston was probably the biggest name in this film. He was a star of 60s Broadway musicals. So very interesting casting and putting him in this movie. Of course, his biggest film was The Music Man, and he was very good in this role. Dan Hurley, probably genre fans remember him from RoboCop playing the old man. Barbara Bresson was the mother, and she was married to Stephen Bochco, who did things like NYPD Blue and Hill Street Blues. Catherine Mary Stewart was also big at the time. She was a soap opera actress from Days of Our Lives. She went on to do a lot of genre stuff, and she just retired from that soap opera last year. And then there was a Star Trek connection here. We had Will Wheaton. Fortunately, all Will Wheaton's dialogue lines got cut. I wish they had done that in Star Trek season 2 of Picard, but they didn't. But he was there in the background. Meg Riley was the shotgun-toting grandmother. Meg Riley had a big role in Star Trek. She was in the original pilot for the show as the Keeper, one of those bubble butt aliens. They were all females, and Meg Riley, the grandmother, was on that show. And Mark Lamo, who played Gul Dukat in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and there's a few others in there. So a big cast. We're going to talk about this movie, so let's bring in the panel for the evening. First, of course, from DHS. You know him as Dylan from Dylan's Horror Show. Dylan, how you doing tonight?
What up, brother?
I'm good, not doing too bad. Perry was originally going to join us, but he got working a bit late, so he couldn't do it. So in his stead, we got Stef coming in here. His first appearance on the Sci-Fi show. I'm glad to have you. Thanks for filling in tonight, Stef.
Thank you for having me.
So I know me and Dylan have watched this movie a ton of times. And is this your first time watching it?
This was my first watch. I've heard about this movie for years. Always meant to get around to seeing it. Like, heard good things about it. Just never found the right time. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity. So I was all for it. But yeah, it was my first time.
I can't believe Perry missed this one because with his channel and video games,
I thought this.
Like, he misses this one.
When Scarpad told me that, I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie. I was like,
yeah, I hope he gets a chance to watch it because I think he will enjoy this. This and Tron, we're big video game movies. But I like the effects in this movie even better than Tron because the outer space stuff I thought was done pretty well. So
a little too early for me. So this was a big one for me when I was growing up, especially. The kid was in Halloween 2, which I watched that religiously as a kid, and then Nick Castle directed it,
Right. And this movie wasn't a huge hit. It came out, I think it cost $15 million to make, and it only grossed worldwide about $29 million. Ooh. So you can say that was kind of a semi-flop. I remember seeing this in the theater, and, I enjoyed it in the theater. But where it really took off and became a cult film and a big film was playing on cable because it played over and over and over again in HBO and in the 80s and 90s. So it became really a big hit. from that. I'm surprised they never really went ahead and did any kind of a sequel to it.
Yeah,
but
honestly.
I'll start off just. I'll talk about the
I've
stuff.
heard a lot of rumors that it was supposed to get a remake, maybe, and
I could definitely
heard
see
Nick
this being
Castle say
remade, bro.
in the last like 5 years that it was going to get a sequel or remake, and he's like, I'm down for it, whatever, you know.
Well, the only thing I couldn't believe looking at like Nick Castle's filmography today is that in 2021, I think he wrote or he at least contributed to an Italian version of the character Snake Plissken. The movie's called Plissken in Italy.
No way.
In Italy, and it's like an hour and 60 minutes, and it's stars the guy who did the voice of Snake Plissken for the Italian dub of the original movie.
Oh,
and I'd love to get my hands on that.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
But I always loved this movie because not only was a big, huge video game guy back in the 80s, but I really liked the story because I think for me, I almost enjoyed the story of Lance Guest, the beta unit, the robot. I love the stuff that actually takes place. It's one of those stories that, starts off in that trailer park. You get all the backstories of all the like characters, and it has pretty typical where, he can't get away to go to college because he's stuck there, and they're all stuck there. And the movie did a wise thing, I think, cutting back and forth between the stuff back at the trailer camp. A lot of that was comedy, and the stuff that was going on for in outer space. But go ahead, Steph. Tell us what you thought and give us your idea of the story and what you thought, how you liked it or not liked it.
I enjoyed the story. It's like, it was like one of those classic almost hero tales. Like, like obviously he felt stuck in the town, everyone else in the town, and it's like a very small town. Everyone knows everybody. Everyone's kind of made peace with their role in town and stuff, but he's like
a trailer park town.
Yeah. It was.
The trailer park was in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing around, no stores, no nothing.
There was a damn arcade.
Yeah, that one machine.
But it landed there somehow.
Well,
Did they ever explain?
I think the people, the aliens, put it there as a test. Is the idea?
That's what it was. It was a test.
Yeah, it was a test.
Supposed to go to Vegas. The guy that comes
somewhere.
Says is like this is. He's like the funny thing. He's like that machine was supposed to go to Vegas. Right. He's like, but it somehow fucked up and landed here. It was like meant to be. That's basically because what's the guy?
Centauri.
Centauri.
Yeah. He even says he's like that was supposed to go to Vegas. So he's like it was. Yeah. He's like this was meant to be, man. Yeah, he's the number one player.
Robert Preston, who has no chops at all in science fiction or anything like that. I thought he was fantastic as Centauri.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a guy who did most of the stuff on Broadway, and I thought he nailed that character. As did Greg.
Have I seen him in something else?
Robert Preston?
Yeah. He looked familiar.
Only if he wants like The Music Man and Sound of Music and stuff like that, because that's what he was in the 60s and 70s. But and I said the guy who played the iguana was the guy who played the old man in RoboCop. The guy that he shoot Dick Jones or throw him out the window. I forget. But so they were all good. But go ahead, Steph. Not to get you off your train of thought.
Oh no worries. But it was just that like classic tale of that was like the theme throughout the movie is like when be ready for the opportune moment when it comes. It might seem mundane or like shit's not happening, you're not meant for anything, but just keep at whatever you're doing. And that opportunity, we got to be ready for the opportunity. But it's funny you guys talk about a sequel because I felt like that there was just so much more material. Like they almost kind of like wrapped it up quickly towards the end. Like I would have liked to see it like stretched out a little bit more. Because I
could see a trilogy.
Yeah, definitely like Dune style. The new Dune, like this has, I feel like potential to be like if they to take a deep dive in it.
And no doubt the ending was a little anticlimactic because they just hid in a rock and then came out and behind.
But did you even meet the bad guys? Like interact with them?
No,
I don't think. Okay, see, that was another thing that stood out to me.
Cameras or whatever, in the pods or whatever.
Okay.
The aliens, they took away their own guy leader there. They haven't taken him away.
Yeah.
He's fucking up. Take the guy away.
Like,
Get him
we're
out of
sick of
here.
your shit.
You know.
But it was a fun little film. I think the story it wasn't too complex or too simple. Like it was just I think the pacing was good too. Like I was very surprised with this. I always heard about it, and for good reason.
Yeah,
It's
to me, it's
earned that.
almost two stories. As I said, I think it's
Yeah.
almost the story is the stuff that's going on in the trailer park with him playing double role of Beta and the lead character, and all that stuff that was done in the trailer park. I thought was almost as good. It was really good. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
when it cut back there, it wasn't like it was detracting from the main story. It was another story that was still going on with the bounty hunters coming down to try to get him and kill him. So I think that was done. It was done all pretty well. I enjoyed that. And the romance part of that was good. I mean, there was that was the relationship was done well.
And the whole Beta interacting with his girlfriend, those bits were really, they're funny. They're very interesting
Right.
and stuff. Like,
and
he's like trying to copy what the one guy saying. He's like, "You're the only woman." Those other ones getting mad, and he's like,
"You want me to talk dirty to you?" You're like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I love the scene where he took off his head to work on his ear, and he's backwards, and he's telling the little brother to go to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Or how about when he's like in the bed, and then they like his body hasn't it hasn't come together, and the head is it's just like the eyes, and then it's like coming together. There's some great practical effects with that, man.
Hell yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of good practical effects. This is probably, and that was interesting, is because they were doing almost the second half of the movie, and all of the space stuff was computerized, wasn't CGI. Well, it was very early CGI. It was on a Cray computer. Then they made sure that the rest of the stuff, for the most part, was practical. All the stuff that was done on Earth was kind of practical.
The stuff with the robot, like I said, where he was like in the bed and then he's kind of like pretending to sleep, and then you just see like this bald head with the weird eyes and the skin, and it's like, I'm like, that's a little horrific, that was crazy, man. I enjoyed that.
No, yeah.
My bad, Steph. Was there anything else you were?
No. This was a very enjoyable movie. I can see why people have been talking about it. There's a lot to enjoy here.
The other thing I was going to say is, what year did Back to the Future come out? Did it come out the same year?
I was going to ask that. The whole
DeLorean was used again in this movie, so it was a big time for DeLoreans.
It had to be like shortly after Back to the Future. Back to the Future might have been like 1981, 82.
Yeah,
maybe was it later?
I think it was later. I think it was like 84, 85.
84. Okay.
I think DeLoreans were just used because they were futuristic looking cars. It's not so much
with those windows or the doors going up.
Even when he like zoomed in Centurion when the assassin was attacking on Earth, and then Centurion like zoomed in the gas station, it just gave me Back to the Future vibes of like the DeLorean about to take off.
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of make a Doc Brown, connection.
They could have been filming these at like the same time, because if you think Back to the Future was being filmed with that fucking one guy, and then they canceled him and then brought in
Michael J.
Yeah, it was going to be
that guy Eric Stoltz or something.
He was
supposed
so
to
they had to.
He was.
Would they reshot like 85% of the movie or something?
Right. And both these movies were done by Universal.
I don't think it was because they said that they didn't like the guy from the start, and they were like, if we shoot some of this, and they're like, it just isn't working, and they cut him, man. But so I wonder if they're both being shot at the same time, or if not, this came out in '84, so that still beats, by a year. But yeah, I could see that delay with the Stoltz and then going to Michael J. Maybe they were being filmed around the same time. But I still think a freaking DeLorean still kind of looks futuristic. Maybe just because it's like instilled in my brain,
Right.
Yeah.
But, that car still looks futuristic to me.
It's very sleek.
It is, dude.
Very retro,
there's nothing like it. There's really not a car like it out in the world. It's never like we got a DeLorean 2.0. It's like we just have the one DeLorean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't work all that well. That's why they were taking all the money.
Yeah, just in the movies it worked well.
But so, Dylan, what were your overall impressions of the movie, I guess?
I mean, I love the film. I think it's great, man. Well, to me, this is like Nick Castle's directorial debut. I know he had like some assassination game or something weird that I never have seen. But
I think he did some amazing stories too.
Okay.
Not before this.
No, I think shortly after.
I don't think so. I said, but he did Major Payne, Dennis the Menace. Yeah, no,
No
Yeah,
way.
he's done a lot of movies.
He didn't do
Whoa.
Amazing Stories till '87.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
Mr.
Amazing
Wrong.
Stories, The Last Starfighter, Dennis the Menace, which that was always I love that. Dennis the Menace, Major
Bro,
Payne,
Christopher Lloyd.
and this. Oh, that was like my trio of Nick Castle movies that I always was renting, man.
Watching this movie made me upset. I didn't see this as a kid because I was like, as much as I enjoyed it, watching it as a 34-year-old adult man, I was like, man, I would have fucking loved this as a fucking kid, dog. Like,
Yeah,
It's a
especially that
fun one.
last shot in the movie with the little brother there looking at him when he's going up into space.
a dark, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Plus,
Yeah.
you get one of my favorite characters, dude, and I just love him as an actor. Who the guy who plays Grigg, Dan O'Hurley, who
Yeah,
was in
Dan O'Hurley.
Halloween 3, the
Halloween
main bad
3,
guy.
RoboCop.
RoboCop, dude. One of the RoboCop 1 and 2 he's in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's
dude,
done a lot of
Connell
stuff.
Cochran, bro, like till the day I die, he will be Connell Cochran.
Yeah.
So like I love and to see him in that makeup, like he looks damn good in it, man. Like
It's his damn laugh, bro.
And remember that scene in the movie where he shows Alex a picture of his family, Dana Hoy. He shows a picture of his kid and his wife. That was him in the wife makeup in the picture. So
really,
he played the wife in the picture. Yeah.
That's really dope.
that's crazy. But dude, I mean, like you guys know, I always love like small town movies, where it's like everyone knows everyone. So you get that without a doubt.
Yeah.
And then to me, like I always thought the main guy in this was really goofy in Halloween 2. But to me, in this, I think he's perfect. He like redeems himself. Because to this day, I still laughed so hard at him in Halloween 2. I think he's such a freaking goofball. Like, you want a Pepsi? Okay, I'll come back. He's like, and the girl, and then the nurse is like, boy, leave her alone. Like, you ain't coming back with nothing. I love that banter back and forth. But it's just so funny because he doesn't know Lori, and he's still like, I'll come back and check on you later. Like, it's so goofy, man. But he's great in this, man. He's so good. Plays the hero pretty well. I mean, I could see why he was never like big, but I love that he got like a shot to do his own little lead role because I think he was perfect for this, man. I think anyone that was like a big star, it might not have worked as well, but maybe it would. Maybe that's what it needed to make that money back, so it could have got the trilogy. But I think over the years, people have really, grown to love this movie. And it was one of the first few video game type movies I ever watched, and I've always enjoyed it. And it's got kind of like it's got a few mixes in it with the Star Wars type Star Trek characters, And
It's a very Star Wars plot.
Yeah, but I love like the practical effects. The music is great. Just for the most part, like all the characters are really good. It's just a fun time. I literally watched this movie twice today. Like I put it on and I literally threw it back to back. It's a fun one, bro. Like it's not one that I really ever can get sick of. This was one of those ones that I would pick up and I had it all week long. So I was watching this freaking Friday the 13th part 2 and and then I had like some other dumb horror movie or comedy, so I grew up, like I always say, man, I grew up watching when I'd rent a movie, those 2, 3, 4 movies that I'd be so happy to rent for the week. That's what I had all week, man. Right. And that's what I was watching over and over again.
Right.
Well, let's talk about the music and the special effects and some of that stuff. The music, I love the music in this movie, but yeah, you have to admit that if you listen to it close enough, it's very inspired by Superman. It's
big time.
Very Superman. The whole fanfare in the beginning of the movie is really Superman.
Craig Safin,
yeah, and he's done quite a bit of stuff. But
I dug it though. It was
it was good for the movie.
He was the writer for that Cameron Diaz movie, Bad Teacher. So he's done some writing.
What?
Vegas Vacation, he did the soundtrack, did some music for, and it says he wrote it.
Yeah, so it was very inspired by Superman, I thought. But I love the music.
It was fitting.
I think so, big
time. And as you stated, the practical effects, I think you can't understate that enough. The effects and the costumes on not only on the planet but on the ship.
The station.
All those
Yep.
aliens. I
Oof.
mean,
Yep.
they looked really good for the time period.
I was gonna say like the scene where he stepped on the dude's squid and everything, and like when he first walked up and he's like, "What is this?" He's like, "Something about being a starfighter," and they all like turn around in their seats. I felt like I was like they're like anime, like old school anime aliens brought to life, like it, but it
Right.
looked so dope, like it was fitting, like it just they blended
Yeah, I mean,
that.
it did come after the Katina scene in Star Wars, and I'm sure that had kind of that callback in mind. But
Yeah.
it was just done so well, the practical effects, and some of the part of it's kind of scary too. I mean, you get the bounty hunter, and he melts down, and
That's what I was saying when I was a kid, man. Like, so when he was sleeping and stuff, and that was like very
out
cool
at him.
with the like blank face and everything.
Right.
And the
When
eyes.
he's like fixing his eyes and shit when they're driving to the station at the beginning, and he like looks over and he like turns around and Terry turns around and you see his alien face. That was
Right.
pretty, man.
It says Lance Anderson did the mechanical effects makeup, and dude, he did like the ape makeup on the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes. He did prosthetics on the
shit.
James Gunn Dawn of the Dead. It says he did some prosthetics on the original Jurassic Park. It says like goat and body, and Cabin in the Woods. He did special makeup effects. Case 39, Dead Silence. Dude, this guy's done a lot. He did special makeup for Cat in the Hat, so he was the one that did the Cat in the Hat makeup.
God damn.
Says he was a makeup artist also on The Grinch, so he must have worked with Rick Baker, man. Like,
and
I mean,
just
it shows. It shows
Yeah.
he does damn good work, man.
And to answer Two Gun Pedro, the video game that you actually see in this movie was produced by Atari. It was basically turned into Star Raiders 2. They never really did release it. They did make one cabinet, but that never got released either. So it wasn't really created. The stuff that you see in the cabinet, the arcade cabinet, is just the special effects. It's not a real game.
Well, usually you get the video game or the movie after the video game.
Right.
This kind of inspired a video game.
Yeah, but it was never really produced. But no, it wasn't.
Also, this won't be no surprise, but Werner Kepler did the technical makeup, and he was known for doing the makeup on a bunch of the Star Trek, The Next Generation, Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan. He did the Congo makeup for the monkeys.
Shit.
So obviously, working on Star Trek and him working on this, there's no surprise there, which I think is brilliant. I think the effects, as we were saying, are just incredible.
Yeah.
So as far as the movie goes itself, as I said, it's kind of. Do you guys have a like a favorite part? Do you enjoy the first half of the Earthbound stuff more, or the Spacebound stuff more?
I want to say probably the Earthbound stuff more. I feel like with the space stuff that, like I said, they feel like they rushed the ending. Like there was more material to be told and explore, and they maybe budget wise or
I
just
think you hit it in the nail on the head. I think it was a budgetary.
I think when we were kids, maybe the outer space stuff was cooler, but now that we're older, I think that in the long run, obviously the practical effects that they mainly did on Earth have lasted the better part. But I think that's honestly, I really love the stuff too. I think that's just a great part of the movie, the stuff on Earth.
Yeah, I really do. I think I like the stuff on Earth better than the stuff in space. But in space, it's obvious they blew up the hangar. They were all dead. That was a good comedic moment. How many left? Just one. And then he had to destroy the capital ship the way he did it in the game, which was kind of cool.
And then the little brother bits throughout the movie were hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
he was so cool. I loved it.
Playboy magazines.
I'm famous, guys.
Yeah, right.
Like
everyone's slimes.
Like, a monster, and Grill's like a monster.
They're aliens.
I love it.
When he said he's like, woohoo! The aliens are invading us.
Yeah.
Like when he saw the shit.
And everyone else is like scared, and he's like, I knew it. So good, man.
But I like the stuff at the lake too, when they make it out, and he was like, I'll stick my tongue in your ear next. What do you want to do?
So I'm not really used to all. What does he say too? He's like, I'm not really used to like the tongue and the ear stuff.
Yeah.
He said something like that. And I was like,
It was fucking him all up. He was hearing that butterfly, and it was fucking. He had to fix his ear, and so yeah, I definitely agree. I think,
listen to that idiot a couple yards away, and he wasn't the one who you wanted to take from, I guess.
Yeah,
he's like jumping on the wrong dude.
Yeah.
Well, and the two characters in the movie we mentioned before, Centauri by Robert Preston. This was his last movie. He actually died like I think about a year after this. And the other gentleman that died right after he filmed this was the gentleman that played the caretaker that was putting up the antenna, the black guy, the older black man. He died like a year after this was made. So this was his last movie too. This movie,
and they were like the mentors,
right? But there's a lot of these movies made in the 80s, you know, things like Cocoon, you know, and Last Starfighter and E.T. and you know, where they had the whole family or the environment that the guy's in up against something else. A lot of Spielberg's movies been like that. Super 8 was kind of like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, this kind of definitely, you know, I think contributed to a lot of the stuff we saw later on, where you got a lot of the kids involved. You know, that's why I think we look at Stranger Things. They got their inspiration from the 80s, and a lot of that inspiration was from movies like The Last Starfighter. Where we had the kids and the teenagers going up against the alien threat. That all was very 80s.
Yep.
And you saw that. And,
never noticed that, but that's.
And you saw that more than just, you know, a lot of horror films were like that. A lot of genre films were like that. I guess other than that, performances, I guess, would be next. And favorite character? You know, it's in the movie. Who are your favorite characters? You know, who do you like best?
You want to go, Steph?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Steph.
I'll go. I the little brother obviously was great. But beyond that, Centauri was a standout for me. And I thought the girlfriend, maybe she wasn't the best performance, but I just found myself thinking, I was like, man, she's a cool ass girlfriend, bro. Like, you know, like she's still down for him. You know, she's trying to make sure he, you know, she cared about him. Like even though she was hanging out with her friends who all kind of didn't get what he was doing, and she was like the mediator. Like, you know, she's like, I gotta have a social life, but you know, at the same time, I'm gonna stand by my guy. And she was pretty bad. So attractive wise, I was like, man.
Well, she was, as I said, I mentioned in the opening, she was a huge. She had a huge career in soap opera. She was in Days of Our Lives.
Oh, was that okay?
She was part of the whole Bo and Hope. She played Hope, and back and she was still on there up to like, you know, she just retired like a few months back. So
wow.
And I think her character, So I mean, she was a pretty big actor. She made quite a few movies in the 80s. In addition to
she was in Night of the Comet, dude. She's
Night of the
Comet. Oh my god! Oh,
bro. I was like, she looks so familiar. I couldn't put.
She was the older sister. The main. Yeah,
she was. That was.
I love Night of the Comet.
Yeah,
every time I saw Night of the Comet, I'm like, because obviously Kelly Maroney, I know, but I was like, what do I know her from? And I was like, there's one thing I know her from, because she's not. I think that, like Scarpad said, she's like, you know, a big. Soap girl, but I was like, what do I know her from? The Night of the Comet. Yeah, that's the one.
Bro, throughout this whole movie, maybe that's why.
And Weekend at Bernie's. That's the other.
Weekend at Bernie's. Oh,
yes,
she's earned a special place in my heart,
She plays like one of the hot girls, or like the main girl.
Was she the girlfriend to the dude, the taller one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yo, this whole movie I kept thinking like, where
the other one didn't have a girlfriend. It was just the tall guy, and he was.
Oh yeah. Damn. Yeah, she's earned a spot on my list.
She was good, man. That's a funny man. So now I was always thinking it was two things that she was in: Weekend at Bernie's and Night of the Comet. That's
all great ass movies.
Three great movies, dude.
You know, I would probably say my favorite character when I was a kid I would have said automatically was Grig.
Oh,
the lizard, because of course he was a lizard and he was done very well.
I like his laugh.
Say, looking at it now, I'd probably say Alex. I mean, I think the guy did a great job of playing two different characters.
And I love between him and Beta.
And I love the stuff that's on Earth, and and stuff in it. So Alex, I would say, is probably my favorite characters, with maybe Greg being relegated to second fiddle now. But
He had
I
good
thought he was,
comedic timing.
yeah, I thought he did pretty well. I
Yeah.
could have sworn that he was the younger Superman in the first Superman
The
movie,
Adventures
but
is.
I don't know. But I know he's done quite a few things, as Dylan said. So Dylan, what do you think? Favorite character?
I'm trying to see if you're right about that. I don't think he is in any Superman titles though.
I don't know.
I'll
I
keep
thought he was
looking.
in Superman.
But yeah, I would say probably Greg, man, just because the freaking legendary Dan O'Hurley, man, he is just so dang good. He's still like just such a great character actor. They just don't make actors like that nowadays, man. He's so great at his craft. But obviously Alex too, because he had that double role. I think he's fantastic, and I love the girl too. Like Steph said, man, she's a nice ride or die. She was like not, wasn't too bitchy or anything. She was
Didn't pressure him
there.
and shit.
She was
Yeah.
there for her dude, and even when
Yep.
shit got wacky, man, she came through, man, and yeah, man, I think it's great. There's not really too many. I wouldn't say there was a bad character in this. I really
No.
I
No.
like everybody in it, but yeah, I think
No,
Greg,
if I was
Alex, and the girl, those are my standouts.
if
And
I
then
was
obviously
just-
Centauri's great too.
if I was going to slam the movie for one thing, or come up with one negative, the movie would probably be that the aliens, the aliens themselves weren't very memorable. But
The
I think
bad
that was
aliens.
the bad
Yeah.
aliens, the
Yeah.
Zerg.
They could have been a little bit
But
better.
the whole but I think that was kind of by design. They
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
meant to be kind of generic aliens. You would
Because I
just
feel like too, if
kill and
it did
destroy.
make money, they would have had because these would have been just the bad guys in this movie. If it got sequels, we would have gotten a
Definitely
different bad
upgrades
guy in the
and
next
shit.
movie. I
Yeah.
feel like because they even said that they were gonna, they were saying like there's gonna be another war. You're gonna come. They were obviously planning. I feel like they left it open for sequels.
More,
I
yeah.
feel like if they were like, if we can make, they would probably spend so much money too that they couldn't really do something crazy badass with them.
Well, I also think that
If this makes money, they're like, if this goes the way we want, we can get so much money for the sequel, and then like
Go crazy.
like Empire Strikes Back,
Yeah.
that would have been, that was what they were probably like, we'll go big for the sequel and we'll have an iconic bad guy. I think
I can see that.
I think that would be the only little downer to
if I remember correctly, the movie itself, obviously, I don't think it flopped per se because it was normally bad. If I remember correctly, when this came out, it was up against Ghostbusters, and it was also up against, I think, maybe one of the Indiana Jones movies.
Oof.
That's tough competition.
And a couple other films. It opened, against a lot of competition and big competition. So, and also I think it opened up against 84 was a big year. One of the Beverly Hills Cop movies I think came out at the same time. So it was a big year. So a lot of the movies got shuffled, and it wasn't like today. I mean, you didn't have 40. My cinema back in the day probably had six or seven theaters, and you never had a theater playing a movie more than one theater playing one movie.
Right.
And you had drive-ins, and that's it. So it's not like today where you can open in these big megaplexes.
Looks like Gremlins in 84, Conan, The Destroyer, Buckaroo Banzai.
But as far as bigger movies, I'd say Ghostbusters was probably the biggest one.
Let me see.
And that was at that time that was like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and them in their prime or around.
Huge too. Trying to see what else was Starman.
Question. So since you were there at Scarpad, I was gonna. That's what caught my eye earlier. The use of the CGI. Like, how dope was that? Like, was that groundbreaking at the time? The style
no one really thought of it CGI. It was basically just computer. It was computer animation. It was very groundbreaking because, as I said, that was done on a Cray supercomputer. The Cray supercomputer
Nightmare on Elm
was like the biggest. There was only like
Company.
one of them or something like that. It wasn't like they had a bunch of computers. There wasn't really computer animation being done besides Tron and this movie. What was that? Terminator. Yeah, Terminator.
Terminator was out in 84.
It was a pretty big thing.
Footloose.
Dog. It had no chance to like.
Gremlins.
You just named all bangers.
Rain, Children of the Corn, Never Ending Story,
What?
Company
Never
of
Ending Story.
Wolves, Nightmare
Oh,
on Elm
bro.
Street was 84.
Yeah.
Angel. Did you see The Warrior and the Sorceress? I only bring that up because Scream Factory just announced a freaking 1500 print on that Blu-ray.
Ooh.
I haven't
But
seen
yeah,
Ghostbusters on here
it
though.
was definitely a crowded movie.
I wonder if it was Terminator that blew it out the water.
It's probably one of the movies.
I haven't seen Wow. Dune also. The Dune.
Oh, Dune. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
here's Ghostbusters here.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
I think it was Ghostbusters.
Oh, no,
was made.
yeah, Ghostbusters. Yep.
Yeah.
And Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. So
Temple of
that
Doom,
would have been a huge one. Those
in 84, everything was either Temple of Doom or Ghostbusters. Those are the two movies. Even movies like Gremlins didn't do all that great back then.
I was gonna say,
that was more of a cult thing.
It did pretty well, but I mean, I think these movies got more popular because of cable, because of HBO just constantly showing them all the time. I mean, you couldn't turn on HBO and not see Conan the Barbarian and Buckaroo Banzai and all these movies because they didn't get long theater runs. So they would go on HBO and, man, they would just rotate and play them every month over and over and over and over again. So, that's where I think they got really popular. And, of course, the video market, too. But
hey, Station Evan, my brother.
Hey, Evan, nice joining us. There you go. Let's go, Evan.
Oh, always showing some love. That's my brother. Man, he's sick right now, too, man. So, dude, that's my
brother. Oh, yeah, coming through.
Bro, man, always showing support. He ain't feeling too good, too. So, that's crazy. I didn't drop in.
But yeah, I think that computer animation was pretty big, and you didn't see too many movies even after this, until you started getting into later on. But if you think about it, I mean, this was in '84.
Yeah, so they shot it.
This was in '84, right? And we saw a crazy supercomputer, and you saw those vector graphics, and you saw the spaceships. How crazy is it to think that 9 years later, we got Terminator 2. 9 years later. So we went from Starfighter to Terminator 2 in the course of 9 years. And it shows, I mean, and let's face it.
I mean, just look at Terminator. I mean, Terminator came out this year too.
Right.
1984, yeah.
Right. And you can't include things like, Star Wars was out, but Star Wars was all practical. That was models.
Yeah.
And to me,
and people always forget that they got upgraded over the years. Like that, what we see now is not what was
not the original.
In the 70s.
Except maybe the opening scene where you get the Starfighter zooming on the big destroyer coming in. That's still, all
right.
That was done well, yeah.
That's all practical.
To me, practical.
And that's why it looks so good still.
Practical done well. The only thing that kills practical is when you try to optically map the other things into the scene, like the TIE fighters. But that was done so well. But it was still all practical,
Right.
But if you look at like computer effects, 9 years between Starfighter and Terminator 2, what Terminator 2 did with all the liquid molten metal and all that. It's
wild, bro. The atomic scene, nuclear bomb scene they did. Where she's like standing at the fence.
Yeah.
She could use a dream, but I'm sure there was some practical.
The skeleton was practical, the thing blowing up, but just everything done with the cop there.
Yeah.
In that movie and all the computer generated effects. And then shortly after that, we had Avatar and stuff like that. So I mean, it got evolved pretty quick, and movies like this led the way with the effects. But we still love, and now I think they went from a situation where there's maybe too much CGI, and we'd love to see at least some attempt at doing practical. Maybe I think the problem now is practical now is more expensive than the computer. And
right.
That's why
and that's why they'd rather just do a computer than practical. But man, the trouble with the computer stuff is it just ages so fast. We get so good so quick that when you go back and you look at a movie that was only 3 years later, you go, oh wow.
You can already tell, it's dated,
When you go back and watch The Evil Dead, you go, holy shit, look at that. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
So
Shit, look at RoboCop 1 compared to the remake. Like you can just
Yeah, I was not a big
it's
fan of
just
the remake though, but yeah, the remake has definitely better special effects than the originals do.
but there's something about just the way that his suit looks in the original that just feels so much more. I mean, because it is more
Because
real than the
it's a suit, it will
right.
always look more real because it's on them.
Yep. Yep.
Even if it can't do everything the CGI can do. So I guess we'll go ahead and rate this out of 5 phasers.
Phases, okay. I like it.
5 of these.
Phaser guns were cool,
5
man.
phasers.
Nice, yo.
Dude, is that a legit one?
The melter.
How'd you get that? Do they sell that? Is that a legit like Last Starfighter?
That's fire.
No, that's a
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery
Oh,
phaser.
okay.
I hate that show.
They
But,
look
That's
pretty
still
damn
dope.
good, man.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
so how many out of 5 would you?
I've heard Two Gun that they probably will do a remake. I don't think they would do a sequel this late in the game.
No,
I
they
believe
wouldn't do a
that
remake.
Nick Castle has said that they've tried to do a remake. Who knows when? I've heard him say it a lot in the last.
Yeah,
couple years.
but you know what? I don't think we need a remake. We don't need one. This movie did everything it needs to do. A remake. What would it do better?
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Steph. What do you think out of 5 phases? What do you think?
First viewing experience that I had, and you know what? My only gripe with it was that I felt like I said earlier, the unexplored story potential that they kind of wrapped up towards the end. So I'll give it a 4.5.
Wow,
I really enjoyed this one.
You're really going high. No, it's good.
You know what? I was gonna say I can't really.
I always go with your first instinct.
No, I'll go
Did you say
4.5. I
five?
can't really 4.5. You know, it's
4.5.
my only gripe is that the ending. Beyond that, I thought it's not perfect. It's got a good energy to it. A great story theme behind it, and the fact that I found myself wishing I would have seen this at a younger age because I would have enjoyed it that much more. I think speaks a lot.
Put it at a freaking 5 if you saw it back in the day when.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dylan?
I'd probably go 4 or 5 as well. I was thinking maybe 4, but I'd probably go 4 or 5
Sure.
just because, like I said, the ending is a little lackluster. Could have been a little better, but obviously, maybe if we got sequels, it could have played out better. But I think it's just a fun movie, man. It's one that I really never get sick of. It's really fun.
I think if you think about it this way, though, I think the ending to me they couldn't have done anything else because the ending of that movie really wasn't him defeating the aliens. That was always going to happen. The ending of that movie was him coming back to the trailer camp, getting his girlfriend, and escaping beyond their lives, and that happened. So to me, the ending was that. And to me, that they couldn't have done any better. I'm going to give it a 4.5 too. I think it did really well. And the thing I find about just watching it now is, I would think, look at those special effects. I would think, gee, I'm going to look at this dated. It doesn't, though.
It doesn't bother me. Yeah.
It doesn't. No. It doesn't look goofy or nothing.
No, it's all very fitting.
It fits the movie.
Yeah.
And we can't ask for better.
Like where I feel like Tron, that looks kind of dated. Yeah,
a little bit more dated because you have the vector, you had the glowing thing.
And maybe that just looks a little more goofy too, just because, like you said, with their outfits and everything.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be inside the computer.
Yeah,
right.
But this one, I feel like it matches up perfect, And then just with all the practical effects, the makeup on, Greg and everybody, it works well.
And it doesn't take itself too seriously, in a good way. Like I respect that.
Yeah. So you guys in the chat, if you watch this, 4.5 from Pedro. Anybody else want to jump in there? I would say this movie, when you go, is going to be a 4.5 all day long, and it's a family film, so we're not going to do the 69. So 4.5 phasers for The Last Starfighter. Really, really. Good 80s movie, man. Especially when it comes with science fiction, and I think you could put this right up there with E.T. and a bunch of the other type of 80s sci-fi, family-oriented
adventure.
Films.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was done really well. So 4.5. So hey, What else you guys going on? Thank you so much, Steph, for coming on tonight. Because I know.
Oh, thank you for having me, brother.
Perry could hopefully you could make any other ones you want to make. That's fine. Just some housekeeping here next week. I think we'll be going a little bit later, probably around 7:45 to maybe 8:00, because I know in December, I know Perry has some late stuff coming up, and Robbie wants to make a show or so. So we're gonna go about maybe 7:45 thereabouts. But we'll let you guys know when we post it up. And next week is going to be from 2009, a movie called, is it 2009? Yeah, 2009. It's Pandorum. Pandorum
Nice.
with Dennis Quaid and
Ben Foster.
Ben Foster's in that. Yeah, I don't know if Julianne Moore's in that. I know it's a few other people. It's kind of like an Event Horizon type of sci-fi film, and it will be my first time watching it because I've never seen it and I want to see it. So I'm going to see it. I'm going to review it. I don't know if Dylan has seen it before. I don't think he has.
No, I don't think I've seen Pandora.
It was a fun
Pandorum. Pandora is where they live in Avatar. It's also
nice little sci-fi horror blend.
Yeah, it's a sci-fi
Dennis
horror
Quaid.
type of thing.
Yeah.
So that'll be next week.
Ben Foster. I love Ben Foster.
And then it looks like after that we have Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange.
Nice. Classic.
And then Clive Owen, Children of Men. And then we're going to wind up the year 2022 by looking back at 2001, A Space Odyssey. So, and I know Robbie's going to join us for that one. So some classics coming up in December to round out the year. Dylan, next Saturday you have, what are we doing again? Oh, go ahead.
Storm of the Century.
Storm of the Century, the 8.5 hour miniseries. No, it's not 8.5 hours. It's close.
Trying to scare people away.
It's close to that 8.5 hours miniseries of Stephen King, which can be found up on Hulu if you guys want to watch it to join us and talk about it.
So y'all don't gotta buy it.
And I did find out that I think the one up in, did you watch it yet, Dylan?
Huh?
Did you watch on Hulu yet?
Yeah, I was watching it last night.
Now, somebody said that the one that's up on Hulu is the international version that they showed in Europe.
No international. I just heard that it was like some unrated version.
Yeah, did it have any titties or talking or swearing? No.
No.
Fuck, shit. No, really? No titties or talking or swearing? All right, I'll watch it.
Too cold for that.
I was gonna say, what Stephen King movies have really titties in it, anyways?
Christine doesn't. Christine?
No.
Titties and Christine?
Mm-mm.
I couldn't picture one Stephen King movie that has titties. Actually,
he needs titties, man. All right, so
bro, he's so good he don't even need them.
Stephen King, it's on the back of his book. Stephen King, so good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in about a half an hour, I don't know if Perry's gonna be. I don't know if Perry's on this one. He probably will be because he doesn't come out. But I know that in a half an hour, Robbie's gonna be doing the 3 at his PCP movie night.
Yeah.
So join those guys for talking about The Godfather Part 3, and then come back here next week for Pandorum.
Hell yeah!
And thank everybody that came in and watched tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. So we'll catch y'all later, and remember, wherever you go, there you are. We'll catch you next week.
Have a good one,
guys. And don't forget watch Storm of the Century. It's 9.5 hours long, but it's a good one.